Hi and welcome to this video. In today's video I'll be answering the questions: what are the 7 W's of photography and why are they so important to us as photographers for every image that we take? And as I go through these, it may appear that they're all distinct and isolated from each other in terms of the 7 W's, but actually they're all completely interrelated and support each other, and it's absolutely vital to have a clear understanding of all 7 for each and every image that you're going to be capturing. I'll explain the importance of each of the W's in the context of the photographs that I'll be taking today on location. And those of you that are regulars to my channel will know that I really love to do these on location rather than sit behind an editing screen. And my location today is the Contra Viesa. It's a set of hills. I'm at about 1,200 meters above sea level, I would guess. To my right is the Sierra Nevada mountains. They're still snow-capped. To my left is the Mediterranean Sea. And this has got a series of vineyards throughout the actual landscape. They're quite small. It's a very niche set of vineyards and winemaking up here, as well as olive and orchards of various fruits. And what I will do is include a series of images that I've taken on location today to explain and demonstrate this, but I'll also include some other photos that I've taken previously that actually will also help to support why you need to consider these 7 W's for every image that you capture. And as we go through all of these points, please remember to like and subscribe at any point. Your support for the channel is massively appreciated. And without further ado, let's crack on with the contents of this video. So let's get on with our first W, and that is why. Why am I going to take this image? And what we've got here is the Cortijo. And why are we going to take this image is the one that most people immediately think of when they think of a reason. There's a lot more to it though than just why, and we'll come on to all the other W's a little bit later. But why am I capturing this image? What I'm really wanting to do is tell a little bit of a story. I want to capture the vineyard in the foreground on the bank, the new vineyard. I want to capture the Cortijo. The sun is coming from the right, so it's giving me a really good color balance. Vineyard itself is got the light on it, but the white wall is in the shadow. So actually that eliminates our contrast. But why am I taking this image is to tell a story about this Cortijo and this vineyard, the new vineyard. And what I'm going to do is capture this image with the vineyard at the bottom, the Cortijo in the bottom third, composition rules. And then also we've got the big open expanse of the clouds. And there's a little bit of fine white cloud in the sky. I'm not sure it'll come out on the video. Should come out on the photograph okay. That's really what I'm trying to capture. So the first one is why. So here's the image that I captured here with a series of other smaller images that'll explain why and tell a story. And fundamentally, once you've answered why, you've established the purpose and the story and the context of your final image. And my second W is when. When should we be on location? When should we capture our image? There's a lot of talk around sunset, sunrise, golden hours, blue hours, but the other consideration is also when should I be here, at what time of year, what is the season? I'm here during spring at this point, so we've still got some snow on the peaks of the Sierra Nevada in the background. We've got the orchards just starting to turn a really nice shade of green right now, but what we've also got is these little heathers, alpine flowers really starting to come into their own in this purple colour now. And what we've got is we've got some beautiful flowers and we've got some butterflies here, which I've just noticed, absolutely stunning. So you need to not just think, oh, I need to be out at sunrise, sunset. You've got to also think of the seasons. The application that I use, which I find absolutely brilliant for this, is the Photographer's Ephemeris TPE. Check it out on the App Store or the Android Play Store. Tells you where the sunrise will be, golden hour, sunsets, etc. The other app that I use for weather, because weather is vital when going out onto location and when you need to be there, because stormy days can be absolutely brilliant as well, is I use one called Meteo Blue, which shows me the meteographs of the actual cloud structures, which way the clouds are coming. Absolutely awesome. Could not recommend those enough. So I'm capturing these images today at the height of the day, which is not perfect because obviously sunset is absolutely perfect. Got some awesome pictures of the Sierra Nevada at sunset and also the Mediterranean Sea behind me at sunset as well and sunrise. But what I really want to do is I want to capture these flowers in all their colour, surrounded by the tree. The other image that I want to capture, which is really stunning now, is that cortijo with the new orchard growing in the foreground. So it's only at this time of year, at this time of day, I can really capture these kinds of images. And I'm also going to get some of the little butterflies as well, because I believe that that is pretty unique and pretty lucky. That's the kind of thing that when on location you need to look out for. Again, what story am I going to be telling with each of these as well? So to summarize when, it's really about doing your research. When is the weather going to be great for your image? When is the right season? When are the flowers in colour? When is the best light for your photography? I'm here at the height of the day today and absolutely stunning, but I've been here at sunset and it's been absolutely fantastic. So do your research, and it's absolutely vital to be on location at the right time. And following on from when, the third W is where. Where do I need to be to take advantage of when is the right time? So here I am now. I've got a scene behind me. I'm going to move on to another scene in a minute to reinforce this. But actually what we've got here is a fantastic spring orchard with some old trees in the middle that almost form a heart shape. And the reason I really like this scene at this time of day is because the sun casts fantastic shadows. Now where I need to be is on the valley opposite that particular bank. And the reason I love this, it's not for any particular reason other than I love the patterns. But where I am gives me the really harsh light casting fantastic patterns through the trees and the orchard on the other side of the bank. So following on from when, the where is equally as important. And this reiterates what I was saying earlier on about all of these 7 W's are each as vital as each other. If I was down, lower down, I wouldn't get those shadows. So again, I use the TPE app to understand where I needed to be in the valley. So we can just capture this image handheld. We don't always need to utilize our tripod, although I'm a big fan of a tripod. So I really like this. I think a really wide one. And the second part of my where explanation is really about where do I position the camera. So we've got our grand landscape or whatever. So here I've got the Sierra Nevada mountains, snow-capped in the distance. I want to create a sense of scale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my camera really low because it's important not just to take everything at eye level. Eye level can work. I'm being really careful because I'm in the road right now. So eye level can work. And what I'm suggesting here is that you need to change your position sometimes. So I'm going to get it really low. I want the white line to draw the eye in. You need to make sure that my focus point is correct. And the white line of the road leading us right in, bordered by the trees as well. I'm going to try that. I've done that on portrait. Let's try this horizontally as well and see what the difference is to those two images. Absolutely really like that image. So that's covered where for us. Let's move on to our next location and our next W. My fourth W is what? What are we trying to say with our image? What should our final image actually look like? And what elements should we include? But just as importantly, what elements should we exclude from our final image as well? So here it's really, you can see that we've got a scene here. We've got the orchard, which is absolutely stunningly green at this time of year. We've got the high peaks of the Sierra Nevada, which are still snow-capped. Absolutely lovely features. But actually what we've got a road in the foreground, which we want to exclude here. We've got high tension power cables above us. We need to exclude those. Those are just an eyesore and a real pain for all landscape photography. So consider all of these elements when you're thinking about what am I going to capture for my final image? What will my final image look like? What should my crop be? A lot of cameras nowadays, but not all, will allow you to view it in the relevant crop. So I'm thinking maybe because of the landscape, 16:9, maybe even a 16:8 for my final image. And this brings me on to my fifth W, which. So now that which and what are absolutely really closely linked together, but which elements do I want to include and which elements do I want to exclude? That's kind of the same as saying what elements do I want to include and exclude. But which ones do I want to be prominent? That's what you need to answer. Which ones do I need to be in focus? And we'll come on to some of the technical aspects a little bit later. But what you've got to think is when you're thinking your final image, I'm thinking here that we take one of the foreground trees in focus with the snow in the background out of focus on the peaks. That'll give us context, it'll give us a sense of scale. But what I'm asking there is, which elements need to be in focus? Which elements need to be out of focus? So always ask yourself this, and which elements need to be in and which elements need to be out of our actual composition as well. Absolutely vital and critical to the overall success. Always think of the what and the which in kind of interchangeably, but actually they bring out their own questions. And my sixth W is who. Who should we include in the image? There's two parts to this actually. The first one is who should we include in the image? Now you may remember this location from earlier. Now when I was on my scoping session a couple of days ago for this location, it was amazing. An Andalusian shepherd and his goat herd came up here with their dogs, walked up here. I'll show you the images. Absolutely amazing. So what you've got here is a true story. By including the shepherd, we really tell a story, not just about this cortijo, but about the entire landscape. We have the Andalusian shepherd herding his goats and his dogs through the terrain. By including people, or even when answering who, to exclude people as well, we really enhance our story. This is really relevant, especially in street photography, absolutely fundamental to street photography. It really tells a story. But what we've got in landscape photography, it tells us about the history, the agriculture, the landscape that we're in. It all adds context. Absolutely need to understand who to include and, just as importantly, who to exclude. And the other part of who should we include, who should we exclude, is thinking about who are our audience. are we going to be publishing this on social media? So our audience are maybe mobile phone users. Are we going to want to publish our prints? So it may be for an art gallery, it may be for a magazine, it may even be for a movie or a shoot. So you've got to think, who are our target audience, the personas of our target audience? Absolutely vital, because once you do that, you can enhance the storytelling of it as well. So for me, the shepherd shot is a good example where, when trying to demonstrate to people the landscape, the context, the culture of this part of Andalusia, absolutely brilliant to my audience, both on social media and to my audience through this YouTube video, as to the landscape that we're in. So again, answer this question. And this brings me to my final location and my final W, which is how. Now I know it doesn't begin with W like all the others, but it does have a how in it does have a W in at the end. So it's, how are we going to take our image? And this is the one aspect that most people focused on, but it should never be more important than all your previous W's. How should I take this photograph? What are my technical aspects? See, I told you they are all interlinked in some way. How am I going to set up my camera? How am I going to use my equipment? What equipment am I going to use here? Am I going to use a 10-18 to get really wide? Am I going to zoom in with a telephoto lens to go straight over the trees? How am I going to set up my camera? Am I going to set up a low ISO? Am I going to set up a big ISO? You may be doing astrophotography. Am I also going to consider doing a small aperture? One, so that I maybe just want to increase my shutter speed, but also maybe I just want the foreground to be in focus and the background to be out of focus, and vice versa. So you need to consider all of these. How am I going to take this image to create the final image that I've got in my mind, the final image that I want to take? And as I've said, this is absolutely vitally important. It should not be seen as the be-all and end-all. There's a massive focus on everything that everybody does about how do I take a picture. But actually the other 6 W's are absolutely just as critical. And in my opinion, the how is the one that most people overcomplicate. The actual technical requirements of capturing the image are sometimes some of the easiest, especially in the digital age with modern cameras. So don't overcomplicate the how. Just treat it, as I've said before, just treat it as a really level playing field with all the other 6 W's. So thank you for taking your time to watch this video. It's very much appreciated. Please remember to like and subscribe. I hope that you found it useful and inspirational, and maybe a little bit educational as well. It's certainly my philosophy when on location. I'm not proposing or promising that I do it for every single photograph, but what I've noticed is that when I utilize this technique, the photography, the end image, the end result ends up being a lot better and a lot more meaningful. And you don't have to overcomplicate this. As I've said, It really is about sometimes just feeling the image that you want to capture. And that really is what I am really summarizing the 7Ws as. It's in using this knowledge to get better at photography. With that in mind, thank you very much for watching again, and I will see you very soon.